the Just Turner Talk Show. My name is Nancy Turner. I'm the co-host of the Just Turner Talk Show. And this is our part 2 with Contreras. We're talking about in and out of prison, behind walls. We're not just covering inside the prison, but we're talking about outside and to help you to cope once you get out. But you know, before you can cope out, you got to cope in. And we talked about that, me and Mrs. Contreras. Welcome again to the Just Turner Talk Show.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, which is you're quite welcome. You know, on part 1, if they weren't with us part 1, you're just coming in on part 2. We're going to touch a little bit on some things we talked about, you know, that if you commit the crime, you know, accept doing the time. Accept it. And let's once again go over time doing you. How do you get away from that? Because some of these people are coming in on part 2 and then they'll hear part 1.
Okay, so time doing you means that you sit around in your room, you don't want to program. Everything that is offered to you, you turn it down. You don't want to do anything. So at that time, the counselors see that you are not being obedient to what they want you to do, and so they can put you C over C. It's a number of things that can happen.
Yes.
They can even put you in acid for a little while to make you sit and think about programming. So it's better to program than to not program.
Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense. That means be part of where you are and don't detach yourself.
Yes, because they have a lot of, you can go to school, they have educational part, they have vocational part, they make glasses at the prisons, you can work in the kitchen, you can work in the laundry room, you can also get what they call a gate pass, and a gate pass means that your points are so low that you can work outside the prison.
Oh,
yes. Okay. They still have people watching you, but you have a gate pass to where you can work outside the prison, but it's still on the prison ground. You're just working outside the prison.
Now,
yes.
we talked about this too. When you said that, I thought about that person's not a high risk then.
No.
Okay, tell us about a high risk, because we talked about you was at that time.
Yes.
Okay, tell us about what a high risk is.
So anyone that goes to prison that has 10 years or more is considered a high risk. And so for that means that you cannot go anywhere in that prison but on the yard that you were assigned to. So say like for myself, when I went, you leave a yard, which is the receiving yard, and then we go what they call over the wall. When you get over the wall, they have B yard, which is mostly for mental health and women who are pregnant. Then they have C yard, and that's the yard that I was on. And then they have D yard. D yard is the drug program. It's on D yard. So I did all my time on C yard. I couldn't go any further, so they only have 2 jobs that I could hold, and that was either being a porter, cleaning up the unit, or being a yard worker. And I decided to be a yard worker, and never pushed a more in my life, you know. So the first time I did it, it was going all kind of ways, and the CEO was like, no, you got to do this again, you know. So but it's a lot of opportunities there that you can do that can keep your mind occupied. That's the most important thing, is to keep your mind occupied.
And you know, that's very good advice too, and I hope they're really taking notes. Dealing with keeping your mind occupied, you were telling me with part 1 how that you with the lifers, and some lifers are real good. You know, they'll help you.
They really are.
And they're not these hardcore murderous women that cut throats and stab you to death and all that. They just committed a crime, and then they got that kind of time right now. And they're making a great use of time.
Yeah.
And I think anyone that wastes time almost can guarantee a waste life. You know,
exactly.
I mean, if you don't utilize, I don't care where you are, You know, you could be in someone's home, you could be at a church, you could be, maybe you don't have enough money to buy your T-bone steak. You got to get those pinto beans and them black eyed peas that look taste good.
Yes.
You got to do what you can, what you have. You're not gonna just sit there and don't eat.
No, that's right.
You're gonna do something.
That's right.
You know, and that's the way it is in dealing with that. Now, I want to talk about fear. What type of fears did you have when you first went in? Because this is new to you. You was the first time here. How did you feel, and what was your fear when you first went in?
My fear was, I didn't know anybody. My fear was possibly getting jumped. My fear was, how can I put it in a nice way? I just didn't know what to expect. But one thing that stuck in my mind, and that was, where fear exists, faith cannot. Does that make sense?
Oh, a lot of sense.
And so I had to have faith, although I was mad
I like
that I was there. I had to have faith that I was going to come through this turmoil, fear that I was feeling being in this prison. Because you hear so many bad things about prison. And so I was just fearful that all sorts of stuff was going to happen to me.
You beat did any of the TV movies come into mind? You know, like what we see on television, women in the prison, what they say they do to you and all that. Did any of those movies come to mind? If you
yes, it did.
Yeah, you did all that.
But those movies didn't even serve half of the truth of what really goes on behind those walls.
Tell me about just the things you done told me.
Just the things that goes on behind the walls with the COs bringing in drugs and just the different stuff that goes on. The warden being walked off the yard for doing something wrong, and it's just So if the warden is doing something wrong and you're supposed to be the head person, what do you expect for us to do?
Exactly.
You're supposed to be setting an example for us. But here they are walking you off the yard.
Yeah.
So
No, we don't say that because I've had the men to say that they be terrified. They say they're gonna either beat you up or they're gonna rape you. They be so afraid, the men, when they're going in, and then the young boys going into juvenile, but they did the crime, as they say, as an adult crime, so they gotta do adult time. They got that law where they're trying to pass all that down with kids. So if you kill somebody, you shouldn't be going to juvenile. You should go straight to the prisons. So I imagine those boys being that. What's the youngest person that you've seen come up there when you were up there?
I would say 17, and she was a lifer.
Oh my goodness.
And she was a lifer. I won't, with me not even mentioning any name, I had a young lady that was doing the hepatitis and HIV education. She was on a yard and she greeted us and told us all about hepatitis, and we would be tested for HIV and all of that.
Right.
And come to find out she was a lifer. And beautiful personality, beautiful smile, and she had been in prison since she was 15 years old.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm very proud to say that last year I seen her. Way past went to a fundraiser.
Okay.
And I went to that fundraiser with my husband, and I was sitting on a stool, and this young lady came up to me, and she said, "Hi, Miss Pearl," and it was her.
Oh my goodness.
She had did so well in prison and had did everything that they asked her to do, that she finally got out.
Oh my
After
goodness.
20 years, she
Oh.
finally got out. And for her to call me Miss Pearl, do you know how hard it was for me for people to start calling me Miss Pearl? That was hard. And for her to see me and recognize it, this used to be Mama Pearl in prison, but now she's Mrs. Pearl, Miss Pearl.
That's respect too.
That's respect.
Yeah, because I'm gonna come in and talk that.
Respect.
Yeah.
You know,
That makes you feel good.
Took me a long time,
Yeah.
but I'm glad to say that she's out. And so there's many lifers who you have a lifer that went in for stealing a piece of pizza, and they gave her life, but that was her third strike.
Oh.
You know, so she's fighting. She might have already won her case and is out. I hope she is. But yeah, for a pizza, you know. So yes.
There was a man in California before I came right here to Texas. It was a gum. Was his third strike because it's all was stealing, and he got for gum. I said, "Oh my goodness! I would if I'm gonna do a third strike, it ain't gonna be for no gum.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna be something that I can say, well, I got some enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, now I was also looking at this word I saw here somewhere. Shoe. What did you call it?
Shoe turn.
What is that? What is shoe turn?
So you might have some inmates that let's say that they are under investigation by the narcotic people, and they go to court. They go to court, back and forth to court, and then court gives them some more time. They might give them 2-3 years, and so they'll do a shoe turn. So this is a separate building from the other yards, A, B, and C, and D yard. This is on A yard, but it's a separate building. Okay. So you're in prison already, and you're going to jail. Can you imagine that? I'm already in prison, but now they're taking me to jail.
Oh, Jesus.
You know, and they have a little courtyard. They probably come out once a day, you know, to just exercise.
Wow. And
so you can do a shoe turn, or if you have a fight or something, they can take you to what they call access. And access is that you just go there until you have your hearing, and they either let you go back to your yard, or you spend a few days in access.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Prison and jail.
Yeah. That's what it is, prison and jail.
Now you were telling me that once you got out, and if you heard part one, she told you about she was motivated to become a taxpayer. I know, and that made me smile because we out there ain't been in prison, don't want to be no taxpayer, you know. So that was kind of cute. But what she was saying is that it looked good to her now. The things that we take for granted, people that's getting out and want to come back into society, they want to be part of that.
That's right.
When people that's in it want to get out of it.
Want to get out of it.
You know, and when you start thinking that you want to pay taxes, and you know you're on your way.
Yes.
You know, to being part of society. Did you find it hard when you got out? Because I know some things you told me. You know, how hard was it when you got out?
Well, it was really hard. First of all, I had a young woman that I met in prison that sent me a parole box. Okay. And so I had something to wear out, and they gave me $200. And I was picked up by Walden House, and I was taken to a place called FOTEP, which means Female Offender Treatment Employment Program, and it's on Treasure Island, and that's where I went. So I at least had a roof over my head. So being there, I needed therapy. You know, I talk about some of the people had some mental health issues going on. You know, years ago, when people say, "Oh, you got some mental health issues," they say, "Oh, you crazy." Just because you have mental health issues, don't mean that you're crazy. You just got some mental stuff going on that you need to talk to a professional person about. And so I needed to talk to someone about what I had been through in my life that drove me to using drugs, that drove me to being deceitful, and being that awful person that I was, you know. And so once I did that, and I started putting the pieces together, and before I knew it, it was time for me to leave FOTEP. 15 months had passed.
Yeah.
It was time for me to go.
It's an involvement,
So
yeah.
you know, what am I gonna do? All my children are grown.
Mm-hmm.
What am I gonna do? So
Right.
I was able to find a studio apartment
Okay.
through Northern California Service League.
Mm-hmm.
Paid my first month's rent
Okay.
and season for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Made the rest up,
Mm-hmm.
but I had to get in line at 4:00 in the morning
Mm-hmm.
and stand in line in order to get a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to make it out here,
Mm-hmm.
you got to make sacrifices.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stay in the bed till 9, 10 o'clock and think that they're gonna come to me, because they're not.
Right.
You have to show them that you're showing an effort,
Mm-hmm.
that you want to make this happen.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
You do. You have to show
And you
yourself.
have to do that. You also have to go to what we call a PAC meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And at that PAC meeting, they have all different agencies
Mm-hmm.
within San Francisco
Mm-hmm.
that will help you with taxes, would help you with child support,
Mm-hmm.
would help you with health care,
Mm-hmm.
would help you do an apprentice,
Mm-hmm.
all kind of jobs. But
That's
you,
good to have that.
and it's mandatory that they go. And if you don't go,
Mm-hmm.
your parole officer will call you in the office and find out why you didn't go
And they pull you back in.
and
too.
pull you back in.
Mhm.
Yes.
Now you were telling me something that I liked as well. You said that when you were released, because I know they want you to be released to a family, and they like you to, if you could have them walk right into a job, they would like that. That's possible, but a halfway house or somewhere where rehabilitation is.
Yes.
But you said something that was very smart, and this is what women need to understand. And if you got someone in the prison, you help them to get this, where they're released to a program and not released to the streets. And a program came to get you.
Yes.
Okay, so that made you avoid that hustler out there
Exactly.
who's waiting for the people that have $200 because they give you $200 when you get out. That's if you don't end up giving some of it back, buying some clothes.
Exactly.
You don't
Because
have
some
that
people
box.
don't have a box, so they gotta buy shoes, pants, and a shirt. And then once you get in the van, they'll say, "Well, do you have anybody in the parking lot waiting for you?" No. Then they take you to the closest city, and the closest city close to Chachilla is Madera,
Okay.
and it's the bus station in Madera. And when you get to that bus station,
Mm-hmm.
it's drug dealers at that bus station.
Waiting, yeah.
And they
It's a
know that
shame.
you just got out of prison because you got on the prison attire. You
Yeah.
got on the jeans, the shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you just got out of prison. You want to hit?
Yeah.
And then there you go. So some women don't even make it as far as Madera, and then they back.
That's a shame.
They're back.
You know, and I know that the law enforcement really don't care. And if they do, they need to do something about it. And that is, get them people away from that bus station.
Exactly.
If you don't have a ticket, you're not getting on that bus. You know, it's just like for girls,
Mm-hmm.
runaways.
Mm-hmm.
There's people all around Greyhound there were looking for runaways. I mean, the
Every
scavengers
day.
out there,
Every
the devil
day.
is going
Every
to
day.
and fro, sticking into the bar. He's just
Yes.
terrible, terrible. And I thought this was sad when you said about the $200 that you can give them back some of that. They'll deduct it rather from clothes if you want to buy clothes from them.
Yes.
And the clothes up there is donated, if I'm not mistaken, and you have to pay for it. Okay, now let's go outside the prison walls again.
Okay.
Okay, now part one you told us about the credentials and what you did and everything, and you had a mind to get better and you want to be part of society. Okay, now working for WayPass, I asked you a question. I said, do you ever get somebody that don't really want to be there? They're there because parole told them to come.
Well, the majority of the women are sent to us by parole, either parole or probation. We do have some women who are on federal parole. They're sent also. And a lot of youngsters.
Okay.
They don't want to be there. They don't want to be there, but their parole officer told them to be there. And some of them will ask for you to call the parole officer and let them know that they're there, live for them. You know, I'm not going to do that.
No,
I'm not going to get caught up in the system like that. And so when I meet someone that I see that is hardcore, because remember one thing, when you're in prison, because I had to do this, you got to walk. You got to be hard. you got to be hard, because if they know that you're a softy, you're done with.
Oh, wow.
They're gonna be a pushover. You're gonna buy them canteen and everything else. You're gonna wash their clothes. Everything they want you to do, you gonna do. So you got to stand your ground, and don't let nobody knock you off your square. Because if you do that,
now, off your square means you'll stand.
yes,
Okay.
you stand your ground.
Okay.
Yes. So when I find someone that comes in the office that just is not buying into the Way Past program, I sit and I do motivating interviewing with them, and I let them do all the talking, and I just listen. I just listen to what they have to say, and I do what we call nonverbal communication by either nodding my head or saying or I understand, and they know that. And then their next question to me is, well, Miss Pearl, have you ever been to prison? And so my answer to that is yes. Well, what for? It's not important what I went to prison for.
Right.
What's important is that you know that I'm no better than you. The only difference between you and I is that I've been out a little bit longer, and you just got out today.
And you just got out.
Yes, and I don't have sympathy for them. I empathize with them.
Yes.
You know, because empathy comes from the heart.
Yes, it does.
And once they can feel my realness and feel that I am being honest and truthful with them, they'll break down and be honest and truthful with me.
And that's bonding.
Yes.
Reality and bonding. You know, I think the best bonding is empathy.
Yes.
And because sympathy, you're gonna make people, don't be sorry for me.
No, don't be sorry.
And then you're gonna lose them. So let them know, you know. And another thing too, we were talking about, you can't tell a person that you understand what they've been through in prison if you've never been there.
If you've never been.
And that's why at Way Past they try to be sure it's someone that has the knowledge of the prison life.
Yes.
Because that way, what the Bible says, the blind can't lead the blind.
That's right.
Okay, I feel that you can use the two ways on that. That I could be just as blind trying to be good, trying to help somebody, but I'm just as blind can be. Because I don't even know what I'm talking about, right?
That is so true.
And I could be harming somebody, you know.
That's right.
But I'm trying to help.
Yes.
But it's good when you can get people like that can say, I understand.
That's right.
Tell me who was the founder of Way Past.
Way Past was founded by two ex-cons that were students at City College, and they decided that they needed a program on campus for women to come and be able to talk to other women, especially women who have been in prison like themselves. And Way Past was founded in 2006, and we were funded by the Van Logan Foundation, and we truly thank them for all they've done for Way Past. Way Past offered groups. We had our second women's conference.
Oh, okay.
And so we do workshops, and we work with Women Against Rape. We work with Coalition for Women Prisoners or Women with Children. We work with the Reentry Center. So we have a lot of resources for the women. If we can't do it there at Way Past, we have referrals that we can send them out.
And you know, that's so good to know.
Yes.
It's help out there. And I just want these women to know that. And if you just got released and you don't know what to do, you know, if you in the San Francisco area, you know, it's the Way Past and there's others, but I'm going to say Way Past right now because we have Mrs. Contreras that have been there with them and know how good a job they're doing. And also that there's other programs out there as well. But one thing I want to tell you is that Mrs. Contreras can tell you, you can make it. You can make it in there, and you can make it out. You know, there's nothing too hard for God to do. And I wrote this down. I typed it down. I said, where fear is, faith is not. Oh, that's powerful, y'all. You hear what I said? where she said, where fear is, faith is not. So we have to have faith. And I think now, even though we don't want the time to do us, I really believe if we put Christ in that, that he will give us wisdom.
Yes.
And he will be our lifer with protection. He would bring the right people to help us and to be fond of us, to say, well, I got your back.
Yes.
God will take care of you in prison.
Yes,
He will do that, but he won't be played with. Now, if a lifer don't want to be played with, you know our God don't want to be played with.
That's right.
And we ready to wrap it up for our part 2. But I do want to let the people know that you had a mission. That after you got out and did all the good things, going to school, taking your test, helping other women that's being released and helping them stay released, you went back in there though. And tell us briefly why you went back in there. Well, a good thing, right?
Yeah, I went back to let them know that it works. It works. If you really want to stay out of prison, you can stay out.
Yes.
Just make up your mind that I'm not going back, and start putting in the footwork.
That's all you have to do.
That's
So
all
go
you
back.
gotta do.
You know, once you get out, I know you can say, "Oh, I'm out." Maybe you got the program waiting, everything's for you. Maybe you got a good family support. But there's somebody else in there don't have what you have. You know, and if you can't go back in like Mrs. Contreras, what you could do is pray for them. You know, put them on your prayer list. You know, we don't think about women in prison. We don't think about men in prison unless your man's in prison. And of course you think about it. But if you don't have someone in prison, do we ever think about them? We pray about them, and in different churches say, well, pray for those behind the walls or behind incarcerated, whatever. But the main thing is that you don't have to go in, so don't do the crime. But if you end up doing the crime, you know, don't let the time do you. You know, get involved, you know, and don't go in there trying to play people. Go in there being real, but stand your ground. You know, and pray for one another. You know, and don't never go in there feeling that there's no help, because there's help on the inside as well as outside. Mrs. Contreras, I want to thank you for being part of the talk show. I enjoyed it. It was good.
Thank you.
Part 3 gonna come up one day too. I hope it be in San Francisco. That's where I want to go. So we want to thank you for again tuning into the Just Turner Talk Show. If you want to be on the show, you know, information at the end of the show. You want to contact WayPass or Ms. Contreras, please, whatever you do, just give us a call, because we definitely want to help you and be part of your life if you let us in. God bless you, and do not pardon your heart. Let's talk about it. And let's Just Turner Talk Show. God bless you. Take care out there at TV Land.